China economy strong, building strong economy, economy, economy for China, for China. Hello, everyone. This is Argent, and welcome back to China Economy Strong. So, I gotta say, as bad as China is, it's kind of funny because in a lot of ways they're kind of admirable. They have much more kind of traditional ideas about the family and about gender roles, despite all the other bullshit compared to a lot of countries. China is kind of based, and on some issues, Mao is kind of based. Don't get me wrong, Mao's probably the worst, one of the worst humans in history. But at the same time, under his regime, infidelity was strictly punished. Monogamy was promoted as a high good. Prostitution was completely illegal. Pornography and just all that stuff was basically illegal. And in a weird way, he was kind of the champion of the family unit in his sick, twisted way. So, Undercover Video shows horrific reality of China's gay shock therapy, where young men are pumped with electricity and cure them of their Okay, I have to read this because this is to try and cure them of their homosexuality. Gay shock therapy uncovered in China hospitals. 15 years since homosexuality was considered a mental illness in base China. Electric shock therapy and nausea-inducing drugs cost $800 per session. See, that is like the only treatment the Chinese government will actually pay for. Hospitals are exposed by undercover patients. And I find it interesting that this is like the only thing the media cares about. I think Commonfilth is right when he calls homosexuals natural aristocrats, because I think there's no one you get in more shit for criticizing. I know my friend Earl of Grey can like post all kinds of shit about Jews. He can post all kinds of crap about Muslims or even blacks. But the second he posts anything vaguely critical of homosexuality, he gets post banned. I know this is true for a lot of people. I almost never hear criticism of homosexuality anymore, but I hear criticisms of pretty much everything else, often viciously so. Barbaric treatment is secretly filmed, but activists face prison. But I thought isn't this imposing our cultural values on China? No, it's not imposing your cultural values on China when gay sex is involved. China's gay shock therapy story on Tuesday's Dateline at 9:30. And this kind of gets into an issue which I call my white guilt. Or I guess people have called it pale guilt to include Jews. But you have these societies like which never would have even considered gay marriage. Like I kind of feel if Western countries hadn't have gone into places like Japan, North Korea, China, or even most of Africa, although it's kind of shit for other reasons, no one would have like even considered the idea of gay marriage. It just wouldn't occur to them. It didn't occur to us until like 30 years ago. But we go to these countries and we try to impose our bullshit on them. So this is just kind of their natural response. Horrific images of young Chinese men with electrodes placed near their genitals and on their head before being subject to huge doses of electrical voltage to try and rid them of homosexuality. It has been revealed that men are still regularly subject to gay electric shock therapy in China 15 years after it is no longer classified a mental illness. What are the odds that like some dildos in the West were like, we won't trade with you anymore, China, if you don't do it? Hospitals across the country continue to offer brutal treatments saying they can cure homosexuality. Their barbaric methods are exposed by the Dateline program. I don't know if it's that they feel safe criticizing China, because you don't really see them talk about Muslims this way. Asians are kind of low on the, do you have treatment in your hospital for homosexuality? Of course, we have some, like, Nordic cunt who's there helping them to dildify their country. And people are say, do you really support gays getting electrical shock therapy? No, that kind of sounds crazy to me. That does sound kind of unnecessary and barbaric. But at the same time, I don't know. It's it's more the general principle. It's more kind of the general principle. Viewers are taken inside medical facilities, prescribed drugs and shock therapy. It's a small electric rod. When you have these urges, you shock yourself with the rod. Then you know to avoid these things. The psychologist tells Mr. Shen. Let's see here. Outlawed the classification 15 years ago, but this hasn't stopped them. The SBS program also reveals how he's told us his current conditional reflex makes him feel love for the same sex. Well, I mean, it is conditioned. I'm sure there's a small percentage of the population who have that impulse, but I don't really get why it's different. I mean, there's lots of people who are born with impulses. I was born with the impulse to want to kill myself. I was born with the impulse where if I'm off my meds, I go into megalomaniacal manic phases. I start screaming about burning the world. I don't really get this. Why that's important. Conditioned reflex, but it is conditioned. I remember back when I was in school and I started talking about how I was suicidal and depressed all the time. They're like, Arjun, it's because you're actually gay. It's not that you're mentally ill. It's that you're gay, and you are a self-hating gay, and that's the reason. So despite never having experienced sexual attraction for a male, I thought I was gay for a while, and I thought the reason I didn't feel sexually attracted to men was because I was in denial about it. Another patient went ahead with the treatment to secretly record the process. When the urges arrive, you go take a cold shower or go jogging to release the excessive hormones suggested. Several appointments will be required before you can be cured. Electrodes are attached to the man's head, which goes numb as the voltage is turned up. He's told it will rebalance his nervous system. Let's see here. The reporters were all sent to jail over this. Aversion therapy reinforces their lack of self-identity and their feelings of rejection. The damage can be long-term or even a lifetime. Well, I mean, syphilis and gonorrhea can reinforce isolation and med-resistant AIDS. People go, RG, why are you such a hater? Because I think one of the things that really turned me on this whole issue is just Common Phil started talking about it, and kind of like with FBI crime stats, when I was young and kind of dumb, I was like, well, it can't be as bad as people are saying. Like, blacks can't commit that many times more crimes. But I found out they did more than I thought, more than people were even claiming. And I'm like, okay, well, that may be true, but there can't be that big a problem with disease in the homosexual community. And then I looked it up, and in Toronto, 25% of men sex with men, because, see, gayness is used to be at least an implicitly white thing. Like Arabs will have homo sex all the time, but they won't call it gay. If you want to live like the gay lifestyle, they'll throw you off a building. But like butt sex is okay. That's not gay. It's only gay if you like identify with it. So that's why they use man sex with men. So 25% of them in Toronto are pos. And you can only imagine how much higher it is in non-first world countries. But there's probably a lot of the gift going on. Bill's probably working hard on this whole thing. So I don't know. This was kind of supposed to be China economy strong, but I don't know. It's just kind of interesting that this kind of thing would probably never happen in a Western country, even like the edgy Western countries. It just shows how much different China is. But I'm sure they'll be forced to give up on it because of dildos like this. Once again, I'm not saying I support this therapy. It sounds pretty fucked up to me personally. It's more, like I said, kind of the principle of it. But yeah, so I hope you enjoyed the video. And as always, I'm going to sing us out. This is China moment, China moment. This is China special time. This is China moment, China moment. This is China chance to shine.